Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another Galactic Guidance weekly live. So I'm calling this episode 7, even though technically it's episode 8. However, episode 7 was deleted by Instagram. I don't know why that happens sometimes. You go to save it or upload it and then the app closes and it's just gone. So it's too bad because there was so much great info in that episode that got deleted. And however, I definitely saved that information. So even though I didn't get to upload last week's or 2 weeks ago, the Galactic Guidance, I did actually create a YouTube video that was all around that same information. So that YouTube video is coming out this coming week, and it's all about the spiritual war, like spiritual warfare, and ways that we can actually serve as starseeds here on Earth, serve the light, and like really great practical steps to do that. So that'll be coming to you soon. And again, so sorry that the last Galactic Guidance got deleted by Instagram. And like I said, there was so much goodness in that episode, so it's too bad. However, I did make a YouTube video like reflecting a lot of that same information. So you have that coming to you shortly. We've got a bunch of people hopping on. Hi, Late Language Codes, and Jiri, and Vanessa, and Selenite Stories, and Ashley, and the Spirit of the Cosmos. Thank you all for joining. Pop any questions that you have into the chat or the question box, either one if you want to do that. And I did have a couple of questions that people sent in that we'll get to. Hi Frank, thanks for joining. So the first thing that I always like to talk about is the ascension energies that's happening. So we did a video on April energies on YouTube, right? And so that was a really powerful month. So I know we're still in April, but it's coming to an end. It was an extremely powerful month for ascension symptoms, like super, super powerful. And so that's why I did the April energies video. And I did that in place of like all of the full moon, new moons, all of that. Like I'm feeling less called to like report on the energy of the moon cycles and doing it more on like a monthly basis. For now, anyway. I mean, that could change in the future. But again, I had another download for the month of May. So there's going to be a May energy report coming out on YouTube tomorrow so that you get it a little bit ahead of the month. And it's going to be all about the ascension symptoms and energies that are going to be like flooding the planet during that entire month. So it encompasses like the moon cycles as well. The April energies ascension video on YouTube was super popular. Everybody was really resonating hard with that. So I filmed a May energies video, and yes, it's coming out tomorrow. So I just want to talk quickly about that. Hi Marvin, thanks for joining. Hi Bri. Thank you for that thumbs up, Frank. So there's a theme for the month of May. The theme is surrender. So this is a really misunderstood energy. So when people hear like that we need to surrender, they view that as something that's weak, it's non-action, it's just really misunderstood. But it actually takes a lot of effort to surrender. And it takes a lot of force and it takes a lot of intention to do so. And the thing about surrender is that when you get into, and we can talk a little bit about how to get into like surrender energy, but when you do, you actually create more alignment in your life with like your relationships, your work, your abundance, your health, even your spiritual experience. Every single area of your life is more aligned when you kind of step into that surrender mode, as opposed to pushing through. So like the pushing through energy is very divine masculine, and it's imbalanced, right? So it's very masculine energy, but not necessarily balanced, because it's about never giving yourself a break, being really hard on yourself. And I know that we've all been there, and like pushing through that, the feelings that you're having, like ignoring your feelings and how your physical body is feeling, or your emotional self and your needs with that, and just pushing through for the sake of being like really productive. So that is actually going to take you backwards. It's going to set you back. You think you're getting all of this work done and getting like super productive, but if your energy, your frequency isn't in the right spot, then you're actually going backwards, because everything is created from that frequency in your heart chakra. And so if you're not taking care of that, and you're just doing that whole pushing through, like no breaks, got to get this done vibe, which we've all done to ourselves, then you're actually falling out of alignment. And so the surrender is really where the theme is for the month of May. So it's going to be physical ascension symptoms all around this theme, and it's going to be energetic symptoms as well. So you're really going to feel this surrender energy coming through, and we're going to talk about how. Hi Kaylin, thanks for joining, and Sam and Alik Jennifer and I Am Energy. So we're talking about ascension symptoms. We're talking about the month of May. So the theme is going to be surrender. So surrender is the opposite of resistance. So resistance is when you don't accept whatever's coming to your present moment. So whatever's like meeting you on your path in your day, and then you don't like it, or you're in resistance to it, or you don't flow with it, then that is the opposite of surrender. Okay, so resistance just creates suffering for yourself. If something shows up in your day, in your path, in an interaction with someone or whatever, whether it feels good or not, there's a reason for it. And you have to remember that everything that shows up on your path is meant for you. It's medicine and it's a lesson. So it's really important for you to honor what shows up, honor all of life and all of these different experiences. So resistance can be felt in the heart chakra. So you'll know if you're in resistance because it'll feel like tightness in your chest. So that's you resisting the present moment, okay? So you'll feel tightness in your heart chakra. That's actually a sign that your heart chakra is closing up. So as soon as your heart chakra starts to close up out of resistance, out of not liking what it's experiencing, it will start to shrink. And when you do that, you actually cut yourself off from your life force, because your entire life flows through your heart chakra. And if you shut that down, then you get stuck in whatever feeling you're having. So it's like people think that if they shrink their heart chakra down, or like the idea of putting like boundaries on your heart, you think that it's protecting you, but it's actually hurting you. Because the smaller the space is in your heart, the more easy it is to get stuck in things. So you're going to actually create energetic blocks, and you're going to get stuck in those emotions or experiences way longer than if you were to just open up and accept that this is what life has brought you, and then just look for the lesson in it and just be grateful, like that vibe. That is going to help things flow so much more quickly. So regardless of whether you like the experience or not, or you're having like a difficult interaction with another human, or like everything feels like it's going wrong that day, or physically you're not feeling great, like headaches and all of that, and you just keep doing that pushing through, or you're resisting what you're feeling, it's just going to make things last so much longer. So get into surrender. So this is surrender. So like kind of stepping back a little bit with your energy, opening your heart wider. Like when you feel that resistance or that tightness, like take some deep breaths, like open your heart even wider. No matter what the feeling is, no matter how uncomfortable it is, go bigger, go even wider. If it's painful, open your heart wider. And maybe you won't be able to do it like right away, because the first human reaction is to be like, oh, I don't like that. But then remind yourself, okay, this is here for a reason. It's okay if this doesn't feel comfortable. Let me just expand into this and see what happens. And then it flows through and it's gone, right? So it's really the resistance that creates all of the problems. So I'm just going to catch up on some of these comments. Hello from Kelowna, Canada. Hi, Kaylin. Ask All 31, thanks for joining. Scarlett and May, thanks for joining. Glitter Goddess. So Marvin says he felt the tightness part with the heart chakra. So that's resistance to the present moment, right? And that is, it can be fear, it can be limiting beliefs, it can be just being uncomfortable and being outside of your comfort zone. But it's really important, that's self-awareness. So if you already are becoming aware of these feelings in your body, because your body is always talking to you, and emotions, they actually are not mental energy. Emotions are physical. They're very much in the body. And the body is talking to us all the time with physical sensations that are the emotions. So like if you think about that, you'll realize that when you're having emotions, they are physical sensations. They are actually not mental energy, because you can think your way around an emotion, right? Logically, but your body feels it. So the feeling, emotional energy is physical. It's physical. It's also energetic, because it's like in your chakras and in your energy body, but it's centered in the body, not in the mind. Hi, Marijo, thanks for joining. And Spirit of the Cosmos says, no heart in things, then no point in things. Absolutely. So that's about opening your heart to experience life. So when you close your heart down out of fear or out of discomfort because something didn't go the way that you wanted to or whatever, you actually create like the scenario where you're now living a half-life, right? You're living a half-life, you're feeling things halfway, and it's just not worth it. Like, we didn't come here to live half lives. We came here to live fully. And that means fully embracing and opening ourselves up to all of the spectrum of emotions, the entire rainbow of energies and emotions of what it means to be human. And human beings are such emotional creatures. And maybe you're not used to that because your last lifetime wasn't in a being like that, right? Like, a lot of us are coming in from like different lifetimes, like, you know, wherever you're from, Pleiadian, Orion, wherever you're from, but maybe they weren't like, I don't know that there's any other creature in the universe that is as emotional as the human being, which makes us incredibly unpredictable, spontaneous. I mean, it's a wild ride, but we came here to live that fully. And so I understand that it's not easy. However, really try to commit to feeling your way through it and not shutting down over uncomfortable feelings, which is really about like what May is going to be bringing forward to you. It's going to be testing your ability to surrender to what life brings you and to the present moment. And if you can master that, in May, then you've totally got this month under wraps. So, hi, Dolce Kush, thanks for joining. Hi from India, nice to see you, I Am Energy. And I Am Energy also says, which words will help open the heart chakra? I think that's what you meant. So opening the heart chakra is really about presence. So being like really present and your breath, okay? And then for words, anything with gratitude, like anything, like you need to be grateful for the experiences that you're having and like recognize how important they are and how much they're teaching you. So gratitude, any kind of words around gratitude. But what I would say for opening the heart chakra is breath. So has anybody on here ever tried breath work before? Like done a breath work session, either in a class or with yourself, like guided through maybe like a YouTube video? Let me know in the comments if you tried breath work. So breath work is really coming up for me lately as something that I need to dive a little bit more deeply into, because it is so transformative and it is all about surrender. So it's usually like a 3-part breath. So, and you do it really quickly. So it's kind of like inhale, inhale, exhale. So it's like, and you just do that for like as long as you can. So some people can do it for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30. It gets really uncomfortable because you feel like you're running out of breath and your body starts having all of these crazy sensations. Like, it's insane what happens to the physical body during a breathwork session. Like for me, the first time I did it, it freaked me out so bad because I didn't know how intense it was going to be, but it's very real. And like my hands cramped up. Like I couldn't even like open my hands. They like cramped up into this weird claw, both hands. And then also just like tears streaming, all of this stuff coming up because you're cleaning your system with all of this oxygen. And you're cleaning like your energy centers basically. And then all of this stuff comes up to be released. So It's very similar to like a lot of people talk about like plant medicine helping you to do all of this. And that's not something that I've personally tried, though I'm very interested in trying ayahuasca. But breath work can give you those kinds of results, and you don't have to do it for a really long time. Like I did it for like, I think I only lasted like 12 minutes, and I literally physically couldn't do it anymore. That's how intense it is. And so much happened. I was totally exhausted the rest of that day. And like, it was a huge transformation. So it's not a big commitment, but it gives you so much, like you get so much out of it. Hi, Divine Pole. Thanks for joining. Greetings from Abu Dhabi. Beautiful. Thank you for joining. No problem. I'm more than happy to go live. I try and do it every Tuesday. Scarlet and May says, sacral root chakra stuff gone today. Grateful. Yes. So we were really in April was very much about like solar plexus and sacral chakra, and they were almost like battling it out. It was like divine masculine and divine feminine trying to find an equilibrium. And so we were bouncing back and forth between those two chakras, having issues in each one. I suffered a lot with like more of the solar plexus in April, which is like a lot of like stomach issues, digestive issues, pain, and trying to, and like getting into that overactive masculine energy where you are just trying to push through and go and not taking the breaks that you need. And now I find myself kind of like softening and going into more of that like sacral divine feminine. But lately it's really been about the balance between the feminine and the masculine. And like these are, I mean, it's still ascension symptoms because these are chakras that are upgrading. And ascension symptoms are basically that. It's the upgrading of your energy centers, right? So like one at a time, our energy centers are turning over into new versions of themselves. And it's very intense, and it doesn't just happen once. Like there are so many levels that you can continually turn over into. And like just, and the connections between the chakras, like there's just so much to the ascension process. Heather Marianne, thanks for joining. Heather, good to see you here. Brian says, I lived less than a half-life for a long time. Yes, we've all been there. It's just not worth it. Like, honestly, there is nothing in this world, in this universe, there is nothing worth closing your heart chakra for. There is nothing. Like, even though we've all done it because we've all experienced like great amounts of trauma, pain, or loss, I understand that we do it in those moments, but we need to come back into the open heart chakra space, because the goal, literally the goal for you should just be to live with an open heart no matter what comes through. And in my most enlightened, experienced moments, like Kundalini awakening moments where I have like all of the clarity of the universe, like if anyone else has had a Kundalini moment, please comment below. But I've had like these unbelievably real, very real, enlightened moments in my life where I could, it's indescribable. It's like you could answer anything, you are everything, you're so clear. In those moments, the same truth always comes through, that you need to, that living life with that open heart is going to bring to you everything that you want, including happiness and joy and love, and that none of the hard stuff will last, and that everything will just be in a constant state of flow and movement like water. It's when we shut down that we suffer. And we shut down thinking we're protecting ourselves. So it's really this weird juxtaposition. But truly, as soon as you feel any kind of like heaviness or tension or resistance in your heart chakra, it is so important to like take care of that right away, as soon as possible. Don't live in that state. Just don't. It's not worth it, and you're going to be so unhappy. And Marvin says, so right, I've had tendencies of closing my heart chakra away from things and people, projecting loneliness, which was some hard self-awareness. Yep. To come into confrontation with, but beautiful in the sense of being honest with myself. Yes, we've all done it. We've all done it. And that's what is about to come up. Like, just prepare yourself. This is the energy that we're talking about for a reason. This is what May is going to bring. It's going to bring you experiences where maybe in the past you would close down your heart chakra. But instead, we're being asked to face these lessons again with an open heart this time, and notice the difference. because it won't be this big traumatic, awful thing. It can be a few moments of uncomfortable feeling, even a couple of days maybe, but that's it. It doesn't need to be like, it doesn't need to be so traumatic. It doesn't need to be so hard. Life doesn't need to be so serious and intense. If we stay open, we can really like keep it more lighthearted, not every single moment, but we can get back there so much sooner. And that's every single area of your life. That's abundance. Like when we fall into lack mentality and then we beat ourselves up for it, and then we get spiraled down and spiraled down and spiraled down, that's you closing your heart up. Whereas if you were to experience some kind of lack and then just say, okay, well, this is just reminding me how abundant I could be. And like, just like turning your perspective around on that lesson, opening up to it. Don't resist the lack. Open up to the lack and say, okay, I'm going to fully feel this and experience this because this is what's on my path right now. This is my lesson right now. And instead of getting into resistance or avoidance or escapism, I'm going to say, I'm right here. I'm going to feel this and experience this. I'm with you. Fully feel the lack. And by like the very next day, you're right back onto the like abundance train. But you need to feel your feelings. And that's when like shutting them down makes it last so much longer. I Am Energy says, I just did a moon ritual. Used white sage, called on the Ascended Master prayers for humanity. That is so beautiful. Thank you so much for your service. What Ascended Masters do you work with? I'd love to hear. Thanks for joining the Brain Coach. Sama Jo says, I've started some Qi Jong that included breath work. Oh my God, yes. Breath work is so powerful. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you for joining, Matthew Trax. Brian says, breathing is extremely important in fighting. Yes, you know what? I never thought of that. You're probably doing all kinds of breath work when you're doing that. And it's everything, right? Like it literally fuels our body and keeps us going. But like that intentional breathwork session, it's like 7 years of therapy in 7 minutes. I swear, it's just so amazing. I Am Energy says, I did a free session with Alchemy of Breath. Suggest folks to check it out. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thanks for joining, Kennedy and David. And I Am Energy also says, that happens to me as well. The claw thing with your hands. Yep. During my freeing my inner child work, I have some info happy to share. That's awesome. Okay, Alamanto, thanks for joining. The Spirit of Cosmos says, when I'm in doubt, throw more love at it. I love that attitude. That's so cool. Thank you, Diamora, for joining. Scott Murphy, Spirit of the Cosmos is sending love. And saying, fully activating the Anahata helped me to activate my chakras fully. For without love, our being doesn't fully activate. The heart chakra connects the lower three and the upper three. It's absolutely and it also is where your life flows through. So like your entire life path, like all of the experiences, all of the relationships, everything that you experience here in this incarnation is flowing through the heart chakra. Like that's your flow. So when people say get in the flow, that's what it is. It's an open heart. That's all you have to do. So to get in the flow means that you will be experiencing synchronicities, divine timing, being in the right place at the right time, aligning to your dreams in so many ways. All of that is literally just open heart. So if you could master that open heart, which is also known as surrender. I mean, we're talking about the same things here. This is just the way to achieve that surrender, is just open your heart, breathe through it. Your breath, your presence, and your gratitude. So if you're falling off of it and you can feel it, like either you feel the resistance in your chest, you're tightening up, or you know you're not in surrender, turn to those 3 keys. Okay, so breath, presence, gratitude. Those are your keys for this month coming of May to get through these ascension symptoms, which are going to be very intense, just like April, but in a slightly different tone. When you're feeling it, those are your keys. That's your keys for surrender, your key for the open heart, your key for making it through this month, whatever it brings, all kinds of physical symptoms, the soul nudge life changes, emotional symptoms, energetic symptoms. Just keep going back to the solutions. Breathing, presence, gratitude. All of that should create the open heart that you need to flow through this month in surrender. And then surrender is also like very divine feminine. So it's interesting that that a lot of these ascension solutions, so not the ascension symptoms, but the solutions to them, are all revolving around divine feminine energy, which again just confirms that that's what needs to be like raised up and lifted again in our society. That's really what's been like pushed down so much. And as we find these solutions, the solutions are like very aligned to the raising up of this beautiful divine feminine energy. So let me catch up again with you guys. Yes, so the spirit of the cosmos says your chi is generated by the heartbeat. It's the portal to it. Exactly. So like we're saying the same thing with different words. Like I see it in my visions as like life force. And it's like this channel of this really powerful energy just flowing through and flowing through. And then when you start to close up that heart, you cut yourself off from the flow, from the divine timing, from the miracles, from the love, from source, from your origination point and your power, your manifestations, all of that. I Am Energy says that the ascended masters that they like to work with are all of them. Christ, Krishna, for me, they're all energy. They absolutely are. Yeah, I love working with Jesus. I haven't so much lately, but a couple of months ago, it was all about working with him. The last 2 months, it's actually been Archangel Raphael. So Archangel Raphael is like this incredible conversationalist. He's like the most talkative angel I've ever worked with. And he's like this incredible counselor. So, because I know he's known as the healing angel, but it's not just physical healing. I mean, he can do that too, but he's actually just been like the best like friend to talk to through all kinds of like ups and downs or life changes or whatever is going on. And you can be yourself, right? Like you don't have to be like, I don't know, like stuffy. I don't know, that's not really the right word, but like you don't have to be like perfect or like, I don't know, like it doesn't have to be a ritual. It doesn't have to be particular. You can literally just be yourself, like totally casual. And the more you do that with your guides, with your angels, with your councils, the more you'll get that back. And like the more you'll get to know them and deepen those relationships. So I really recommend being more casual. People don't do that enough. You need to just drop all of the pretense and just be yourself and just talk like you talk. I mean, and then listen. Make sure that you're not just talking, but not making the time to listen, because you will hear them if you make time to listen. So, say your piece and then tell them you're waiting and you're listening and have some silence, and it will arrive in your mind's ear, your ear chakras, which are above each of your physical ears, and they're burgundy in color, but it will arrive through your ear chakra in your mind's ear, and it will sometimes sound like your own voice at the beginning until you get a little bit better at discerning the different voices and like sounds and the tones in that. But if at first it sounds like you, that doesn't mean that it's not working, because it's as soon as you create a back and forth conversation, you're already in communication with your team or your angel or whoever. So it's really more about the back and forth feeling. Like, are you saying things and then receiving responses and saying things and receiving responses? Is there that back and forth conversation style? If so, you've got it. That's it. Just keep working on that. And eventually you'll be able to hear like separate voices. I even hear accents sometimes, which is like really cool. Hi Jackie, thanks for joining. Hi Seiko Safa. Sorry if I said that wrong. Thanks for joining. Hello Angelic Scorpion Intuitive. That's a cool handle. Thanks for joining. The Spirit of the Cosmos says, this is amazing. I wish more talked about the power of the heart. I agree. It's everything. Absolutely everything. And you know quite a few talky angels, do you? I find angels, I don't know, I don't find them as talkative as, well, maybe because I've been talking with like a lot of, like for instance, Pleiadians are super, super chatty, and really sweet and really loving, but like really chatty. And then you get into like, I don't know, they all have their own personalities. And then you also can't stereotype because not all Pleiadians are the same, right? Not all Arcturians are the same. Not all Mantis beings are the same. Everybody has their own personality. That would be like saying all humans are the same. Like you can't, I mean, we can say things like humans are extremely emotional. I mean, that's obviously true. But even still, there's going to be different ranges of all of the different like individual personalities within those groups. So Alik Jennifer wants to know, how do you know the difference between fantasy and vision? Is there a difference? I'm not sure that there is, because if you're imagining it, it exists somewhere. You've just created it somewhere on some timeline. But our imaginations are actually the doorway to things like clairvoyance. And so, for instance, like if you're trying to create an experience for yourself, such as going to have a meeting with your team, then you should start with imagining it. You should start by visualizing it. Okay, what would this look like? Who would be there? You know, who would come pick me up? Like my astral self, like usually Archangel Michael come pick you up and safely transport you to wherever you're going. You start to imagine all of that, and then you create that situation. So, I mean, the imagination is the doorway. And then even for like not present moment things, but even when you're trying to read like past lives, if you want to call them past lives instead of parallel, it's the same thing. You start with imagination and then it picks up. So your imagination, I mean, we have them for a reason. And as kids, like think about when you were a kid, how imaginative you were. And all of those imaginary friends, like, I'm pretty sure a lot of those were spirit guides, right? Most of them, if not all. And your imaginary worlds. And all of like, I mean, the imagination, that's it. Like, if you still have that as an adult, that's amazing. Like, you're going to be this incredibly powerful manifester and extremely psychic, because that's what it takes. So, fantasy, reality, it's all what's real and what isn't. Right? Like in this world, it's all just signals to our brain. It's a simulation, and our brains are the computer reading a simulation, telling us what to feel, see, all of those things. I mean, it's not actually real. Not much is, except for your heart and your love and your eternal soul. So, and then Alik Jennifer, just another point on that. So you're saying, or hearing and fantasizing the answer. So as soon as you're having a back and forth conversation in your mind with one of your guides and you're hearing answers, whether that's coming from your team or your higher self, it's beautiful. Accept those answers. Because the more that you receive it and accept it and allow it to like be real for you, like make it real in your heart, the stronger and more powerful it gets. All of us start out with wondering, did I just make that up? Like you ask a question, and then if the answer arrives in your own mind and in your own voice, you're like, how do I know? Like, is that my ego? Did I just make that up? You'll know by the content of the answer. So what kind of answer is it? Is it based in love and oneness, or is it based like in something egoic like fear and limitation? So you can start with the content of the answer, and then you can also, if it doesn't sound like someone else yet, if it's still in your own voice, the next thing that might happen is that it speaks in a different way than you do though. So like your guides might at first sound like your own voice, but they use phrasing that you wouldn't use, right? Like the way that they word something, you wouldn't really say it like that. Maybe it's like old fashioned, or maybe it's a more proper way of speaking than you have, or maybe it's more lighthearted than you are. It's not going to be exactly you. It's going to be some other kind of personality shining through. So just keep practicing and just keep your eye out for those indicators. What's the content of the message? Is this based in love? Do I resonate with the answer? Do I feel it in my heart? And you can ask for confirmation. Like, I think I heard you say this, this, and this. Can you confirm that for me, please? And confirmation comes in a lot of ways. Goosebumps, tears, ears popping. I always get the thing that I call the push. So if I see something or hear something and I say, okay, I just saw or heard this, please confirm that that's correct. They will like push it forward again. So if it's a vision, it will push forward without me needing to like dig for it or search for it. It's like a vision just pushes right into your mind's eye. And I'm like, oh, there it is again. Or if it's clairaudience and I'm asking them to confirm something I heard, it will come through again even louder. And like when you try to think around it or see around it, it'll push again. Like it'll just push through. So we probably all get confirmation in different ways though. So I know a lot of people get like tears. A lot of people get chills. Some people literally will get like tapped on the shoulder, which that is so cool. Like how amazing is that? I've heard a lot of people say that to me. They'll ask for confirmation, like, I think you're with me. Are you with me? And they'll either have like someone like touch their foot or their shoulder. I mean, it really depends on what you're open to. And like if that like would freak you out, your team's not going to do that, obviously. But if someone would really appreciate something like that, then maybe they play around, right? Like they like to have fun with us. They like to laugh. They like to tease us. Even when we're talking about serious stuff, they're always going to be trying to insert some kind of a lightheartedness in there. So don't be surprised when that happens, because like most of the higher vibrational beings are really into things like joy and laughter because they know how healing and high vibrational that is. Okay, so the Spirit of the Cosmos also answered Alik Jennifer saying, you know what feels right. Yeah, you can tune in and but just ask for confirmation. That's something that's really powerful. If you're unsure, just ask out loud. Say, this is what I think I heard or saw. Can you confirm that for me? Jackie says, hi, I just want to say thank you for all of your videos that you post. It's been so helpful navigating ascension when I had no idea what was going on. Thank you so much, Jackie. I so appreciate that. That means so much to me. It makes me feel like, you know, I'm really on my path and doing my work properly. So thanks for joining, 1312. The Cruise joined. Thank you for joining. And Tori DeGrazia, thank you for joining. Okay, perfect. Just scrolling down. Apparently I missed more than I thought. So Marvin says, I've had my foot touched numerous times. No way! That's so rare, but you're a very rare soul, so I don't have any problem believing that. It felt weird at first, but nice to know they're around when I ask. I had someone else tell me that. They were doing one of those like guided meditations where you try to meet your spirit guides, and they asked like partway through that meditation, like, I really need physical confirmation. Some people really need that extra bit. I just really need to know, can you do something that I can't deny, that I know? And their foot was grabbed, like their toe. And they were like freaked out. Like it's gonna freak you out at first, but then it's like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, thank you so much for like making that extra physical effort for me to get that confirmation. That's like a very loving thing. So Brian says, I get waves of tingling like energy that make goosebumps on my back. Yeah, I get goosebumps too. And Marvin agrees with that. And I know a lot of people really get emotional. Like they feel their eyes fill with tears when you hit home with something. I felt that too, for sure. Vanessa says, I heard you are not alone after a prayer a few nights ago. And I did hear it in my head, but it just felt different than my own thoughts. Trust that. That is it. That is clairaudience to a T. When you hear it, but see, notice how you said I heard it, but you didn't say I said it or I thought it. You just heard it. You were the observer in that moment. That is your team or your guides or a higher dimensional being coming through to you and letting you know that you are not alone, and that is such a beautiful message. Hi Bon Bon, thanks for joining. Okay, so I'm just going to check and see, was there anything else I wanted to talk about for the May energies coming up? And remember, that video comes out tomorrow on YouTube, so don't miss that. It's a really good one. So it's all about surrender, checking with your heart and making sure that you're not feeling that closing resistance, like tension in your heart. And if you are, you're going to be turning to your breath, your presence, and your gratitude to get back out of that. So I think that's all I'm going to say about ascension symptoms, unless anyone else wants to either ask a question about ascension symptoms or is having something that they want to share. Pop it into the comments. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about today, what time are we at? Was actually the thing that I just posted about on Instagram. So if you see, hello Elle McBride, thanks for joining. So if you see after this video, go and check out the post that I just did on Instagram about your asking your teams for guidance. So asking your team members for guidance and kind of what that looks like and how you're going to receive that guidance. So wait one sec. Brian says, so basically May is going to suck? Why? No, May is not going to suck at all. May is going to be about learning to open your heart to uncomfortable feelings. So, I mean, every month we're going to have uncomfortable things happen, feelings, energies, whatever. But this month we're going to be focusing on the heart chakra and learning how to stay open during those experiences. And like ascension, I mean, it's hard work, right? Like growth is hard, ascension is hard. It's not for the faint-hearted. And it's beautiful too though, so hang in there. Okay, so I wanted to talk about asking your teams for guidance. So I think that people are a little bit confused about what to expect from their team. So a lot of people really expect like very specific answers, right? So they're asking really specific questions like, what is my purpose here exactly? Like, what am I supposed to do? Or they say things like, should I break up with this person? Or should I stop doing this, start doing this? Really specific questions. And I just want you to know that most of the time, your team is actually going to give you an answer from like a higher perspective, which is more of like an eagle eye view. And it's like an overall energy that they're going to give to you. So they're not going to specifically tell you what to do or what not to do because it defeats the purpose. So the purpose being that you are supposed to be experiencing the making of these choices. So on your path, the whole point is, I mean, if you were just going to come down here and ask to be told what to do, then you might as well just be like a little puppet, right? And have someone just, like choose your own adventure and just move you around the board of life. That's not what we came here to do. We came here to have a full experience where we are fully submerged in all of the emotions and the energies of it. So when it comes to things like soul contracts are telling you what's going to show up on your path, okay? So a soul contract can be a person, like an experience with a person or a connection with a person, or it can be an event like a car accident, like getting a promotion, like certain things. Everyone's different. Your soul knows what it contracted to experience. So the fate or the destiny part of this is that if it's in your soul contract, that event or that person or that near-death experience, like any of those kinds of things, then you can guarantee that it will show up on your path. It will show up and it will face you in your life, absolutely. That is fate, that is destiny. However, how you respond to that event or person, how you react to it, what you do with it, if you even interact with it at all, what choices you make around it, none of that is predestined at all. That is completely up to you, and it's the point. That's the whole point of you doing this human experience on Earth, is for you to see where you're at still as the soul with your lessons and your growth, to see what you do. Because you can think that you know how you'll react. Like you can, be up in the higher dimensions planning out all this stuff, and you can think to yourself, oh, I'll do this, this, and this, but you don't know. You have no idea what you'll do. Actually, nobody knows. Not your team, not source. Nobody can predict what you will do. It is unpredictable. You are, especially as a human, like I said earlier, because they are so emotional and spontaneous and unpredictable, even more so than in this lifetime. But in any lifetime as any being, you don't know. Okay, so that is the soul lesson. That's it. That's the experience. That's the wisdom. That's the lesson. You, like, in the moment, reacting, making choices, and dealing with things how you want to. And so this is why our team members, our guides, are never going to get really super specific with us. They're going to use leading questions, Like if you say, should I break up with this person? They're going to say, well, how does the relationship make you feel? And how have you been feeling lately around it? Does the energy feel heavy or does it feel light? Try to imagine yourself in another situation, maybe just like as a single person. Does that feel better or lighter than where you're at now? Or imagine yourself with someone else, or if it's a job thing, like, okay, well, can you picture yourself? Like they're going to ask all these leading questions to try to get you to have a realization, but that's it. The rest is up to you, like pulling the trigger, making the choice, making the decision. It's all completely up to you. So I have a video coming out on YouTube Sunday, so for the Sunday premiere, called Soul Contracts and Soul Ties. And it's going to go like a lot more in depth than we're going here today about how that works. What is fate? What is destiny? What is up to you? And why is it up to you? And what can your team like offer, for advice or guidance, and what can they not? And so for instance, one of the reasons why they won't offer like really specific like to-dos, like, break up with that person or leave this job, why they don't do that is because if their opinion or their advice to you completely affects or changes what your natural decision would have been, then you've just lost that soul growth, or like a portion of that, because it's your soul's purpose. That is your soul purpose, is to live and experience and make choices and create things. And if that free will, even, it's not that they're taking your free will, but if they influence your free will and your choices with like you thinking they know better than you, which they don't, but because they're in a higher dimension, you think that they would know more than you do, but they don't, because they don't know what it feels like to be in this moment as you. And that information is actually more important to the decision than the higher perspective a lot of the time, because that is why we're here, right? So you can have all the knowledge in the world in the higher dimensions, but knowledge is kind of empty without the experience to back it up or to fill it. The experience part is what turns knowledge into wisdom. So knowledge plus experience equals wisdom, right? So we have a lot of we've got the knowledge. I know that we do. We've all lived so many lives in all of these higher dimensions, lower dimensions, whatever. It's all knowledge. Now we're getting the experience, and that's what incarnations are. They're the experience, and they're really important for like balancing things out, like karmic energy between like individuals, like a lot of your relationships, your parents. You're balancing things out for both parties on both ends of that. So it's extremely important for you to stay true to yourself and make your own choices, and stop giving your power up and wanting someone else to make your choices for you. You think that it would make it easier, but it wouldn't, because that choice is being made from someone who's not in your experience. If a higher being would even do that, which I don't like, I've never seen that. They always revert to, well, how do you feel? Well, what does this make, they just ask those leading questions, and they help to counsel you and love you and guide you. And they can illuminate the path that you're on and say, okay, well, this is where you're headed, but it's still up to you to either stay on that path or take a different path. And all of the steps are up to you as well. Like nobody's going to do anything for you. They're not going to make it easy. In fact, a lot of the time it can make it more complicated, right? So Alik Jennifer says, so they are there to open you up so you can see more options than you would alone. Yeah, and like, so that would be like the illuminating of the path. And yes, they can definitely open your eyes up to options, but they'll never tell you what to choose or what to do. But I find like also what they're doing is helping you to just develop more self-awareness. So like, sometimes we get overwhelmed or anxious with the emotions that we're feeling around the situation. And so they can help us to kind of just like cool that energy or calm that energy down and go back to the awareness. Like, okay, let's really think about or feel out, what does this feel like? Okay, what does this feel like? And like, yeah, like show you your options basically, like you're saying, and help you to just calm down and to have that like extra self-awareness. Self-awareness is key for absolutely everything. It's so important. And when you are self-aware, you get ahead of the game and you're making choices as things are happening. You know, like I find like when people are stuck on the fence of something, that's actually where most of the suffering happens. You're on the fence, or maybe you've got 1 foot in and 1 foot out, like that kind of idea. And you're like, you say you're going to do something, but your actions aren't backing it up, and you're half in the situation, half out of it. That's all suffering. That in between place is that anxiety and that suffering. It's like, just make a decision and commit to it and then go for it. And there is no right or wrong. It's about learning as you go and the experience. It's more important to make a decision than to sit on the fence. Even if that decision isn't, maybe later on you think, oh, I wish I had chose differently. It doesn't matter. At least you chose. Like literally just make a choice and start moving, because once you get the energy moving again, you're going to see things again, and then you can, kind of make some corrections, but at least you're in movement. Because when you get stuck on a fence or in that stagnant energy, that is the most unhealthy place to be. So, sorry, a bunch of people just jumped on. Hello, Nathaniel. Thank you for joining. Hello, Nugget Ka. Sacred Healing by Shannon. Thank you. Jeremiah DePolito. Thank you for joining. And Nugget Ka is asking, would you save this on your profile, please? Yes, I will. So this is actually supposed to be Galactic Guidance episode 8. It's titled episode 7 because the last one got deleted, which was so annoying. But Instagram's been weird lately, where as you're trying to like save it or upload it to IG, the app will close and then it's gone. So I'm going to do my very best to upload this right away. So you should see it up right away after this ends. So I'm just quickly checking to see if there's more that I want to say about the soul contracts and like giving up your power to your team to make choices for you or make your decisions for you, which is really important to understand this concept and grasp this, because I truly cannot tell you how many people, because I'm doing these one-on-one sessions, right? So either on Zoom, or if it's a reading, or I'm doing some channeling or whatever, and the client, the questions are like, they're too specific. They're giving up their power. Like, should I, quit this job or should I not? And I already know that their team or their guides are not going to say yes or no. They're going to say, okay, think about it this way, right? Like we were saying, like, how does it make you feel? What is it contributing to your life? Is it more bad than good or more good than bad? Like all of those. And so that. I think deep down we know that they're not going to tell us what to do. But like a part of us really just wants to be told what to do so that we don't have to carry the burden alone, maybe. I don't know. Or I don't know, maybe we think that's easier to just tell me what to do. But honestly, it doesn't work out as well in the end. So, okay, yes. So, so basically, this is all the areas of like your purpose. Like, what is my soul purpose? That is a huge one. Maybe we should talk about that. So everybody wants to know, can you please tell me what my soul purpose is? And their team will tell them, but it's going to be, it's the truth. But it's not going to be like, take this step, this step, this step. Not always. I have seen some specifics. But generally it's going to be, okay, here's the specific soul signature that you have. Here's what you have to offer, energetically speaking. Like either you have music in your soul, or you have like extreme amount of nurturing and love, or you have energy healing. Like you have something about your energy to offer. But we're not going to say, okay, this is what you should be. Like if you have like a very heroic energy, they're not going to say, okay, be a fireman. They're going to say, embrace that energy, nurture that energy. Here's your soul signature. Now really nurture it, expand it, expand it, expand it, and then share it. Because the gift or the purpose, like your gift to the world is your purpose. So the gift is the sharing of your energy. So we all have super unique, really special energy. Everyone has something different to offer. And when you share it, like when you take care of it, you love it, you nurture it, and then you share it, but you keep filling yourself up, right? Put yourself first, so you fill yourself up and you overflow to share. You fill yourself up and you overflow to share. You don't share from an empty space or an empty cup. So when you're sharing, that is the gift. So your purpose is to share your specific soul signature with the world from a healthy, filled up place. And that's it. So really, I mean, it would actually probably be more beneficial for you to ask, what is my soul signature, right? Instead of what is my purpose. Everyone's purpose is the same, to share that gift with the world from a healthy place. And that's it, just like what we're doing right now. So that's all I had on asking your teams specifics about soul path, guidance, soul contracts, all of that. We've talked about ascension energies. I have one last question from Marvin that I'm going to address. And then if anyone else has, is there any other questions before we shut down for today? Because we're almost at an hour. So please add your questions in now before we start closing down. So I'm going to go to Marvin's question. So this was a really interesting question, and I'm not sure I know the answer yet. So we'll see what comes through. So Marvin asked, how can we deal with downloads we're not sure about, right? So you're receiving information or a download. So you know that you've received something, but you're not sure about it. So either, so there could be a lot of reasons why you are not sure about it, I guess. You're not sure what to do with it maybe, or you're not sure how it applies to you. Like it feels important. It feels like, meant for you, but you're not sure maybe what to do with it, but it feels, like it's for you. So in that case, I would definitely sit with it before I shared it. So like if I'm receiving downloads and information and I'm not really sure where they fit in how they could help someone or me, I'm not going to share it yet because I don't want to misinterpret it. So I'm going to sit with that information and that download for a while, right? And so that's integration, right? That's integration. So when you're integrating, you are meditating on it, journaling about it, contemplating it during a walk, asking your team, praying about it. Just give yourself some time. No matter what the download is, whether that's energetic, like words, I mean, there's a lot of things it could be, I guess. But if you're not sure what to do with it yet, then don't do anything. Just hold on to it for a bit and allow some integration to happen. So now Jackie's asking, is it necessary to know your past lives? Nope, not at all. Your soul already knows. So, I mean, it's not necessary. Is it helpful? Yes, very. It's very helpful, but not necessary. It's helpful because if you're suffering with a repeating lesson or a repeating cycle, like for me, I'm constantly receiving the lesson around, I mean, there's probably more than one, but the one that comes to mind is like the lesson around patience. I'm going to continue to receive that lesson until I like master that, right? So if I don't want to continue having this show up in my life, I really need to master that. And so it can be really helpful to go back and look at other instances where maybe I didn't fully grasp that experience, that lesson, get the solution. And then for other people, like they have limiting beliefs, self-doubt, lack, like pain, and they don't know where it's coming from. And they don't see the origination point here in this lifetime. And so how are they supposed to heal it, right? So, I mean, you can still send your self-healing and your self-love, but there's something really powerful about the knowledge of where something originated from. So if you had a past life where you died in a war, right? Like that's one of my past lives. That's one of a lot of people's past lives. And you die in a war, and then you have all of these like things around that, like hatred to mankind. Like that was a big one for me growing up. Like I really didn't like humans. I don't really know how else to say that. I didn't feel human and I didn't like them, and I was embarrassed to be one. Like I was ashamed because of everything that they put me through and all of that prisoner of war torture and all of that stuff. I only saw the darkest sides. And then I come in to the next life and I'm like reeling from that still. So it really helped me to like understand where it came from in order to heal it and move past it. And I mean, that happens in a million different ways. Like people that are afraid of being vulnerable, people that are afraid of love, people that are afraid of their psychic gifts because they have a witch wound. So many ways that a past life can help you. So Marvin says, thank you, Jenny. I've been slowly starting to see synchronicities with certain downloads, but have continued to be stalled by the meaning. I think it's a lot of dark soul being brought up, which I may have been resisting. Yep. Feel free to message me about that and I will help you with it. And see if that, like another person's perspective, can help you through it. Whatever it is, if you're comfortable and if you want to. But I like that you're already, I mean, I can tell you're already working through it though, right? Because you're already getting the synchronicities. And I think maybe that could be some patience too, right? Like we were talking about, like the patience of allowing it to unfold in divine timing and just sitting with it. So keep that in mind too, because sometimes patience is the answer. And we don't like that, but it is. So, all right, well, that's all for today then. We just hit the hour mark, so I'm going to get going. I have some videos to film. Don't forget that tomorrow is the May Energies video on YouTube. So we're going to be talking about the entire month of May and all of the ascension energies. And before you go today, please remember, listen to your heart and the quiet voice within. Because you are so much more than the body you are in. Have a beautiful day. Bye, everyone.